Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, but good morning from the US. We are very excited to be here today with you to speak to you about our experience in the high-level political forum. I'm Batul Wahdani, IFMSA Vice President for External Affairs, and along here with me are IFMSA enthusiastic delegates for the high-level political forum. This is Chris.
Hey.
From
AMSA Hong Kong.
AMSA Hong Kong, and this is Flora.
Hello, I'm from AMSA Austria.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, this is Kevin from IFMSA Honduras.
And we have as well with us on the line Tarek from, Tarek, you can speak.
Hi everyone,
You're
I'm
muted,
from
Tarek.
Tunisia.
Yes. And Alicia.
Hello everyone, I'm Alicia from Germany. Nice to be here with you guys.
And the reason we had this webinar today is because we wanted to make IFMSA members know what happens in the high-level political forum, why IFMSA is present in such meetings, and what we can bring as a change for the upcoming years. We were just talking about how we were confused when we were preparing for this meeting and what we are supposed to do in it. And then after discussing it with different partners and stakeholders, we were able to participate actively in the first week, and we wanted to share with you our experience. And for you as well to know if you apply for such meetings in the future, how would you like to participate in it and what you can do. So we can start with our first agenda point, and Alicia is going to tell you a little bit more about the high-level political forum and what are the dynamics of this meeting and why do we attend it. Alicia?
Hello everyone. The high-level political forum is called the High-Level Political Forum on Sustainable Development, and we have several objectives here, but maybe let's start where we started, with the youth blast of the Major Group for Children and Youth. IFMSA was heavily involved in organizing it, and what it is was basically a youth gathering to prepare for the high-level political forum and to understand what is happening. The high-level political forum can be really, really confusing when you're here for the first time. You can ask some of our members because there are over 2,500 NGO representatives, and then there are also representatives from the member states and from the UN agencies. So it's a really, really big event, and it's always good to see some familiar faces in it. So that was one of the reasons why IFMSA, together with the Major Group for Children and Youth, organize this event. And then there's different structures that have to be understood. So we do have some main sessions with the thematic reviews, and we come back to that when we discuss the sustainable development goals that are being discussed here this year. And then we also have a lot of side events happening that are a lot smaller than the main session, but they're really just about getting and diving deeper into specific topics and hopefully finding solutions for a better world. And that's something that's really important. And then there's a third kind of important thing that is happening as in a lot of UN conferences, and that is the outcome document of this conference, so that we can really bring some changes back to the member states of the United Nations. And the outcome document for the HLPF is called the Ministerial Declaration, and it's what hopefully in the end, so on Wednesday and Thursday, the member states will sign and they will commit to whatever has been said in this document. And now I give back to Batul.
Thank you, Alicia, for the introduction, and I hope you now know what is the HLPF and what do we do in it. And maybe it's also worth to mention that for next year there will be a reform for HLPF, and they are going to change the way the HLPF is held, and they are going to revise it and so on. But the main idea behind the HLPF, which is reporting on the work on the SDGs and the Sustainable Development Goals 2030 agenda, is not going to change, but the system and how it's done there, it's going to be reformed next year. And of course, IFMSA will be present. So if you are interested, this is how we do it, and this is how we participate, and this is how and this is what the meeting is all about. And to give you more insight about what is happening this year in the HLPF, we will tell you about each of the sustainable development goals that are being discussed. So each year they decide on certain goals that they are going to discuss in the meeting, and member states report on these goals. And during the first week, there will be main sessions discussing these goals in general with all member states. And then during the second week, there is voluntary national reviews, which is divided according to the countries. So certain countries volunteer to report on the work of SDGs in their own countries, and people and their partners and everyone can attend these national reviews, and they know what is happening on these SDGs in these countries and what are being reported from them. And this is going to happen starting from Monday, tomorrow, in the second week of HLPF. And now we're going to tell you a little bit about the SDGs that are being discussed in this HLPF. And we are going to start with the first SDG, which is SDG 7 with Chris. So, yeah.
So SDG 7, it's really basic. It's affordable and clean energy. So we're talking about access to electricity and energy. We're also talking about affordable and clean sources of energy. You might be thinking how this is going to link into health. It's really simple. If you have electricity, you can do a lot of surgeries, a lot of things that can improve your physical health. And also, maybe more indirectly, you can think about all the household goods we have right now, refrigerators, they all need electricity, and all these are indirectly linked to our health. And also, if we have more clean and more sustainable use of energy, we can conserve the environment. For example, we can go against and prevent the global warming, which gives you less vector-borne communicable diseases, and among a lot of different examples that help promote the environment around us, so it improves our quality of life and also our own health environment. So that's for SDG 7. Turn back to Batul.
Thank you, Chris. And now Alicia will tell us a little bit more about SDG 11 and why IFMSA is participating in its discussions.
So SDG 11 is a lot about urban setting and housing, and how this is kind of related to the quality of life that people have. So maybe for you to understand that obviously housing has a big impact on health as well. In New York, for example, there's a great project that people who are actually affected by different diseases do get free housing in order to improve their well-being. So this is one of the examples on how this is related to health. And then it's a lot about different open spaces and that people can actually be in public. Another really important link is obviously how children and disabled people and other maybe marginalized groups can also access transport. It's a lot about road safety, for example, and how we can improve this. So it's all being discussed, and it's really, really relevant to different health aspects, which is great because we can meet a lot of external partners here to talk about those things that really affect people's well-being. And I give back to discuss the next SDG.
Yeah, thank you, Alicia. And we skipped one SDG, which is SDG 6, and Flora is going to tell us a little bit more about it.
Hello, everyone. The SDG 6 is about clean water and sanitation for all. And it is really linked to health because we can prevent a lot of diseases if we achieve the goal. So mainly we need clean drinking water, which is free of hazardous materials, which is free of chemicals and feces, so that we won't get sick. Then we need water for sanitation, where we can prevent a lot of infectious diseases. If we wash ourselves, if we wash our food, if we wash our housing. And then water is very important for the agriculture. And if there are droughts and floods, it will affect our food. So it will lead to food insecurity and malnutrition, and can lead to migration also. So yes, that's what Goal 6 is about and how it's linked to health. And we will proceed.
Yeah, with Kevin now for goal number 12, sorry.
Hi, everyone. Well, goal number 12 is about sustainable consumption. and production partnering. This goal, it's about the sustainable management and efficient use of natural resources in all the member states. So countries want to improve the way they use the natural resources for their own population and also from population around the world. Also, they want to reduce food waste, because food waste is one of the biggest problems in the world, because it's linked that agriculture and livestock production produce a lot of greenhouse gases emissions. So this impact the climate change and also impact the environment. So by tackling food waste from the retail to the consumer level, we can improve the climate change policies and improve the environment. Also, chemical waste are a problem that affect directly people, because in many countries, chemical waste are not followed by any kind of legislation or rules or control. So this chemical waste end up in the water that people drink, or end up in the air that people breathe, and that can impact the health in different ways depending on the chemical that has been produced. And also, member states in SDG 12, they want to improve the recycling and the reuse practices among member states, so they can improve also the consumption partners of the population.
Thank you, Kevin. And now we move to Tarek with the last SDG. And Tarek? Tarek, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. So goal number 15 is protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems, sustainable manage forests, combat desertification, and halve and reverse land degradation, and halt biodiversity loss. So basically, what we can do in this goal is promoting health and preventing disease through healthy natural environments, because our environment is our health. It is, after all, the air we breathe, the food we eat, the system we're living in. And IFMSA has been really active in terms of environmental health due to the relation between health and environment. And this is what we're doing in the HLPF regarding this goal.
Thank you, Tarek. And I hope now you have an idea about the SDGs that are being discussed in this HLPF and why IFMSA is striving to have a presence here and to participate in these discussions. I'm sorry for the noise. It's the trains around us, and the only place we were able to find that we can have a good Wi-Fi connection. And now we're going to speak a little bit more about IFMSA's participation, so you also can have an idea about what we do in such events. We now establish the linkage with these SDGs and how it's related to health and our vision and mission in IFMSA. So what do we do in such meetings, and how do we participate in affecting the discussions and the decision-making processes? We're going to go over certain aspects of our participation. And firstly, I would like to tell you a little bit about, in such high-level meetings, how the IFMSA delegation gets together and prepare for it. So we usually select the members as soon as possible. This time we were able to select them around 1 month and a half in advance. And we had 27 enthusiastic applicants from all over IFMSA member organizations, but we were able to select a few delegates because we would like to prioritize our attendance to such meetings and to make sure that the people we send are able to participate actively in the discussions, and having a bigger number is not going to grant us more opportunities. And it might be even harder to coordinate. So we decided that the best number would be to have 6 delegates here. And we selected the members. We started having online meetings before attending the meeting, and we discussed the different SDGs. We read the relevant policy documents for this particular meeting, such as the climate, health, and change policy, the SDGs policy, and other policies which are related, such as meaningful youth participation, and all the general policies we have in IFMSA. We mapped down the most important parts of these policies that relates to the meeting. We worked on a policy brief as well, which helped us before the meeting to prioritize our ideas in relation to the different discussed SDGs. And we as well made a huge follow-up document which divided the whole sessions among ourselves and the side events that we are going to attend, and which person is attending them, and what kind of intervention they are going to make. And in such meetings, we are only able to send one representative to each main session, and there are 2 to 3 main sessions per day. So we divided such sessions on us and agreed upon ourselves how we are going to report them. We have a reporting document in which each person who is attending that session, they will report on it and so on. And regarding how do we participate in these sessions and how do we voice our opinions, because as an ECOSOC organization in HLPF, the only way to participate is through the major groups, which are acknowledged by the EU and as a space for civil society to participate. And IFMSA is a member in a lot of major groups, such as the major group of children and youth, major group of NGOs, and major group of women. We collaborate with most of them. So we usually attend the meetings of these major groups, the debrief meetings they have every single morning. We participate with them in their way that they are planning to participate in these sessions, which we will tell you a little bit more about later. And the only way to deliver statements or to input them is through the major groups, which is what Flora is going to tell us a little bit more about. So Flora, can you tell us a little bit more about how we participated in the session, in the statements and delivering our ideas?
So we start the morning with the morning meeting of the major group of children and youth. And it's a big group with youth representatives from other NGOs, also from the governments of states. And we mainly participated in drafting interventions for the main sessions. So after the morning meeting, we sat together in a group and start drafting and discussing the ideas we want to bring in the main sessions. And it's really interesting and a learnful experience to do it, because there are young people from other fields of studies as well. So, for example, I participated in drafting the intervention for the SDG number 12, which is not the main field of my expertise, but it was really interesting and fruitful, and we could bring in some ideas. So that's how we can participate also in the major group of children and youth. Also, if we don't make the statement ourselves, because it will be selected one person from the whole major group of children and youth, but we can bring in our ideas and values. So then I will give the floor to Chris. He will talk about how we can participate in the side events and do interventions.
So first of all, in HLPF, we have the main sessions where it's done in a big conference room and covers all the reviews of SDGs. But once you get into the more specific topics, there's also what we call side events. And that's when organizations, NGOs, different governments, embassies, etc., they come along and they do really specific discussions or meetings on specific topics, and we try to give out the health perspective in these topics. So some of the events that we have intervened on was, for example, urban mobility, in that when we develop urban mobility, we also have to consider the health coverage and the access to health and how it contributes to universal health coverage. And also other topics like menstrual health and hygiene, which is under SDG 6, but as you can predict, is actually very related to health as well. And then we have also stressed on the meaningful youth participation in all the SDGs. There's been a few discussion on how different NGOs, and especially youth NGOs, sorry, trains covering my voice, but there's been a few events talking about how youth organizations can also contribute to the discussion of SDGs and etc. So in these side events, we get the chance to represent IFMSA as well, talk about our opinions, and make sure that health is included in almost all topics. So that's it.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. And it's also worth mentioning that in this HLPF, IFMSA participated in co-sponsoring a side event with the NGO's major group. It was the NGO's toolbox to a more involvement and in the Sustainable Development Goals. And actually, IFMSA was selected as a keynote speaker in the side event, and we spoke for 10 minutes at the beginning of the side event about what we think how NGOs can actively participate in the Sustainable Development Development Goals agenda, and we shared our own unique story of medical students, how they participate in such high-level meetings, and why is it important that everyone should be addressing the whole SDGs with as one entity altogether, but not as individual entities. We also touched on the importance of leaving no one behind, which is the goal and the noble message of the SDGs, and that everyone can become marginalized at a certain point in their lives. So we should make sure that our communities are safe, and they wouldn't make anyone marginalized and left behind. We also shared our hopes for the youth participation in this process, and how we can activate it more and more. And you can find our participation in this side of it on YouTube as well, on IFMSA channel. You can watch it there. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask us about it. So this has been our main ways of participation throughout this week. And for the next week, as we said, there will be national reviews for certain countries, and the delegation will be attending the different national reviews of the countries. And if there is anything relevant to any of the countries discussed with one of our NMOs, we are going to report to you and inform you about it. And as well, if you have any idea about something that you know relevant to these national reviews, feel free to approach us at any time throughout the next week, so we can discuss it all together. And now we're going to talk about a little bit about NMO's involvement in this, and IFMSA members. And as you know, we have the United Nations Task Force, which aims to activate the involvement of IFMSA within the UN system and the UN meetings. And in this meeting, we have with us two members of the UN Task Force, which is Alicia, the coordinator of UN Task Force, and Chris as well. And their participation helped us a lot to link the work we do in the UN Task Force along with this meeting and other meetings. So maybe, Alicia, you can tell us a little bit more about how NMOs and IFMSA members can be involved actively in this, and how does it reflect with the UN Task Force work?
Great. Yes, so it's a pleasure to present also a little bit of our work, of what we do here. So obviously there are several ways on how you can also, as just general IFMSA member, can participate in those projects. So I'm just going to give you a few examples. Please feel free to ask us. We will be present. Actually, everyone but one member will be present at the General Assembly. So if you do have further questions, because we're going to make it short today, never hesitate to approach us. So one of the things we're doing right now is, again, as you've heard, there are some member states that are being reviewed. If you do have, for example, critical comments about your own country, please approach us and tell us about it. There's an upcoming pre-GA. We were very, very happy that we had so many great applicants to talk about external representation and how that is linked to the Sustainable Development Goals. So this will also be something that IFMSA will focus more on next year. So thank you for sending our members to this pre-GA, but also please share this with the other members. We do it in every pre-GA. We try to have a workshop just about the Sustainable Development Goals, about capacity building and how you can participate in the UN spaces, as this is usually something considered kind of mysterious. So please approach us there. And also for the pre-GA, we will have not only for the pre-GA, but also for the GA, we will have several activities to kind of teach you more about the Sustainable Development Goals. Why are we emphasizing this? Not just because of the high-level political forum, but because there's a 2030 agenda of the United Nations, where these goals, they are altogether 17 goals, should be reached by 2030. And this is also why we're having a lot of advocacy efforts and possibilities, not just on a global level, but also on a national level, to kind of achieve them. So if you want to maybe run a project and want more awareness about it, we do have lots of materials as well, because everyone knows we say think global, act local. So we do try to kind of break all of the big SDGs into like little bullet points that you can do individually as an IFMSA member, that you can do as a local committee, and that you can do as an NMO. And it's really just about knowing what the Sustainable Development Goals are about, knowing how the United Nations work, and how you can participate in it. It's it's a really inclusive space, and we know that all of you are very, very busy, but please always follow the IFMSA General mailing list, and also obviously what we send around in the NMOs. There are lots of ways how to input it, and never be shy about it, because we need you. This is also something that has been emphasized the whole time here, because actually another goal that's always in every HLPF is the one of partnerships. So please partner up with us as a United Nations task force. Please partner us up with everyone who's involved in external representation in IFMSA, and just read our emails, follow us, and we need your inputs, and we also need your knowledge that you're making on a local, national or regional basis. And just come to our workshops or share what you know. We know a lot of you are also involved in simulations and similar things that do touch on the subject of the United Nations, so please share. And with those words, I would like to give back again, but our email address is tf.unitednations@ifmsa.org, and feel free to approach us at every time of the day or night. We do have 5 members who are all from different regions, so someone of us will be awake and will be very happy to answer any question or hear any of your own ideas. Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia. And as you can see, you have all the means of possible participation and all the opportunities. So you just need to grasp the chance and to participate with us in such high-level meetings, and to help IFMSA to have a more meaningful youth participation in these meetings. This was our webinar for today. We just wanted to share with you our experience, and also for the upcoming high-level political forum for the delegation who is going to be selected and who is going to attend, for them to know what is happening here and how they can have an active participation as well, and for you to encourage you to participate in these meetings and to pursue representing IFMSA in high-level meetings and important decision-making processes. And before ending our webinar, and I just want to remind you that you can ask questions through the chat if you would like to ask anything. So please add your questions, and we will be able to answer them by the end of the meeting. And for now, I would like just only to ask each one of those delegates, because this is important as well for you to hear from your own members and from people who, like from us IFMSA members who are just like you. Why do we participate in these meetings, and what is an important take-home message from such high-level meetings? And what would they like to share with you from their own experience in this meeting? So I can start with Flora.
So my main message would be that if it comes to environmental health, it's really important to collaborate with all the other sectors and to understand their perspectives and to bring in our perspective of health. So also if you work on the local level, please keep this in mind. And yeah, it's really important, the health perspective, and to bring it in and to raise our voices.
Kevin?
My main takeaway will be that the world is definitely moving forward to achieve the SDGs, but we need the help of all of you, all of our members, to create a real impact in their universities, in their local communities, and in their countries, and overall in the world. So keep moving, get educated, and advocate for better policies, whatever you are.
Chris?
So a lot of points have been covered already. In HLPF, I think I figured out that actually a lot of the SDGs, almost all of them, are very health related, and it will be very interesting to see if we engage more in these areas, and if the members are interested in engaging more in the SDGs. So you can do your own research as well, and you will find it interesting, trust me. And then also one last message is I always got people asking me, oh, how do you get to a HLPF conference? And it is very competitive, but if you want more of these opportunities, make sure to subscribe to the IFMSA email. If you haven't, it gives you so many opportunities, and it will blast your email. So back to the two.
And Tarek?
One take-home away message would be the importance of collaboration. I think each one of us is doing a dot, and it's important to connect the dots to have the broader pictures. And so all SDGs are interrelated. We have to and work with others in order to achieve the best of these SDGs.
Thank you, Tarek and Alicia.
For me, it's just great to see that actually the space for youth participation is increasing. We do have different opportunities to kind of raise our voice, and people are really interested in it. And slowly, they're also realizing that we do have a lot of knowledge in different fields. So don't be shy as a young person. I personally believe that we can only change the world for the better if we start now kind of in the decision-making processes that will affect our own lives in 1 decade, in 2 decades, and already now. So never be shy as a young person. We do have a lot of new things, as the UN likes to call it. We do a lot of creative thinking. So please share that, and also just all of us, let's help each other to really make our voices heard and to change the world for the better and to shape our own future.
Thank you, Alicia. And from my side, I just want to advise you all to grasp every single opportunity that IFMSA has. There's plenty of opportunities for everyone who would like to participate. It's not just about traveling and attending these meetings. We actually have a voice here and we have an impact. And as future healthcare professionals, it's not just only about being a doctor who's able to diagnose people, but also being a global health leader who is able to make sure that our health is a lifestyle and everything is available for every single human being from human rights perspective, from every single perspective that IFMSA thrives for. So there's plenty of opportunities. We wish that there's going to be more and more applications, and there's a space for anyone who would like to be involved. By this, we reach the end of our webinar. I hope that you have an idea now what is the HLPF and what IFMSA does in such meetings. We don't have any questions appearing on the YouTube channel now, but you have our emails, the UN Task Force email and the VPE email. If you have any question, if you would like to discuss anything, feel free to approach us at any time, and we are available to discuss anything you have. And thank you for watching, and I hope more and more people will watch later. Maybe the World Cup final has played its effect, but yeah. Let's see what you have and what you think about this. Feel free to approach us at any time, and thank you so much for watching this, or if you watch it in the future as well. And thank you guys for making the webinar and sharing your experience with IFMSA.